Hey everyone, Hannah here and welcome back to another YouTube video. And today I want to talk about why I love doing Instacart shopping. Just a quick disclaimer out the front here, Instacart is a gig job and I'm not trying to over glorify that at all. I don't think that this is a super sustainable method for somebody as a sole purpose of income, but for somebody like myself who is using this as supplemental income, I think it can be really good, and that's why I wanted to make this video. If you're somebody who wants to challenge themselves and do gig income for their primary income source, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that gig income works best when it is combined with other forms of income, so that way you are not completely relying on something as inconsistent as gig work. There's also something to be said about the fact that different gig apps work better in different areas, and it very well may be that Instacart just does not work well in your area. There may not be a lot of batches, and so you may not want to go try a different gig app instead, but regardless, these are the reasons why I personally love using Instacart in my area. So the first reason I have is that you can do it at your leisure. So you can start and stop Instacart whenever you want. Now, some gig apps are like this, while others require you to have set shifts, but I personally love that Instacart is following by the model of allowing you to start and stop whenever you want. Now, there is definitely a good way about starting and stopping Instacart, and I think if you do it the correct way, you can end up making a good amount of money on it and ensure that you're not going to be losing money. For myself, I get out of work around 3 o'clock on most days, and so when I get out of work, I happen to go right by the local place where the Instacarts can be done at. There are a few different shops that can be shopped at Instacart in the town next to where I live, which is actually on the way home from my work. So what I will do is I will turn on Instacart as soon as I leave work, and I will go towards the Instacart location, and I will sit in the parking lot for a little while. I don't sit there for a super long amount of time. I would say probably like up to 20 to 30 minutes if there's nothing going on, but I end up bringing maybe a video game console or something to preoccupy my time, or maybe a notebook and jot down some things that I have been wanting to work on. Regardless, find something to do in the parking lot while you are waiting for your order. Then when you receive a good order, you can take that order while you are sitting in the parking lot, and then you are essentially making money on your way home. So this ends up working out really well for me because most of the time the orders are going within a small radius, as I live in a fairly rural area. And so I can go from work to the Instacart location, pick up an order, and then take it and deliver that order home. And sometimes that can be almost exactly the way I am going home anyway. And so it can allow me to make money while I'm driving home from work anyway. This is truly where Instacart shines the best for me, is when I'm able to pick up orders when it just makes sense. When I'm out doing something, when I have a doctor's appointment or something, for instance, and I am out into a bigger city in my local area, I can turn on Instacart then and see if I can get a couple orders while I'm out there and make the trip out to the doctor's office a little bit more worth it. For the second reason why I absolutely love doing Instacart shopping, it's that you can choose what batches you want to do or not. Now, this is definitely something that is fairly common in the gig economy, where you get to choose what orders you are going to take, and as an independent contractor, that is one of the benefits you have to you, is you don't have to do any orders that you don't want to do. But I feel like this is especially good with Instacart because there is so much variation in the orders. This actually leads to my next point, which is kind of an offshoot of this, which is that you can see what items are going to be delivered before you take the order. So on top of being able to look at how far the order has to go from the grocery store to that person's house, how much money you're going to make in both batch pay and the tip, you can also see what items are on the order. If you're somebody who does not want to do severe heavy lifting, you can swipe through the items that are on that order and you can see, oh, well, this order happens to have 4 cases of water bottles. I should probably skip this order out. Or if you're somebody like me who does not mind the challenge and enjoys the ability to be able to get a little bit of a workout in when they do their order, you can see those orders and know that they're going to have a heavier batch pay and take those orders anyway. But it's nice to be able to have it full up front before you take the order of exactly what you are going to be delivering. This is also useful in other ways. For example, when there was the extremely bad formula shortage a few months ago when I was doing Instacart, I was able to look at orders and determine whether or not a majority of the order was formula, which is a very expensive product relative to other items in the grocery store. And so I would choose not to take that order if the order had a lot of formula on it, because odds are I wouldn't be able to find that formula, or let alone that brand especially, and that would severely reduce the amount of money I would be making from the order because the majority of the money spent on the order would have been reduced. Reason number 3 why I love doing Instacart is you only need to communicate with the customer when you absolutely need to. This is an absolutely great thing about Instacart, and there are runs where you can go on a complete order from getting to the store to delivering it off to the person and not communicate with a human being the entire time. And to be honest, that's where Instacart truly shines for me. You don't have to talk to anybody, and since my primary employment is waiting tables, so I get lots of engagement from talking to people through that job, it's nice to have a job where there's a little bit less customer-facing interaction. Now, obviously, if an item is out of stock that somebody has ordered and they have not specifically said what replacements they would like on the app, then you may need to communicate with that customer to see if there are any substitutions you would be able to do. But for the most part, those items are going to be at the store, or you can even try to make an informed decision and the person can just click yes or no, and so you don't have to communicate with them at all. So this is one of the best parts about Instacart because you really don't have to communicate with anybody until you get to the door possibly, and a lot of times people just want you to put it on their porch anyway, so you don't have to talk to anybody except for maybe a couple quick messages in the app about, hey, we don't have Fuji apples at this store, they only have Macintosh, do you want Macintosh apples? It's very nice because it keeps your communication to a minimum. And reason number 4 why I absolutely love Instacart shopping is that you get inspired to change things up in your own diet. As I mentioned before, I do a primary amount of my shopping at the local grocery store, which is closest to my house, and since we live in a fairly rural area, I am pretty used to this grocery store. I have been in and out of every single aisle 100 times. This is prior to even going to Instacart. But once I started doing Instacart in my spare time, I learned the locations of a lot of items, and I learned the majority of what is in the store. It never fails though, at least once a week if I'm doing Instacart a few different times throughout the week, I am able to find something that the person ordered that I had no idea was in the store to begin with. And while it may be a little bit challenging and a little bit of a scavenger hunt to find that item, especially if the app doesn't correctly order exactly where that item is going to be, sometimes that item may be something that you really want to try. For example, I found these wraps that were completely organic and grain-free, and I wanted to try them out, and they actually ended up being really good, and I would have never known to check the freezer section to find these particular wraps. There have been plenty of other times where this has happened, where I've seen somebody buy a bunch of different ingredients, and you can see that they are obviously making tacos with the ingredients that you bought, and then you might say, oh wow, tacos sounds really good. Then when you go to pick out their protein, you may see that they actually ended up getting mushrooms and other kinds of vegetables instead of getting meat, and you might try veggie tacos that week. It's really great to get a little bit of change up in your diet just by looking at what other people are doing. So those are the reasons why I love doing Instacart shopping. As I mentioned before, it may not be for everybody, but I know for me, it's something I like doing in my spare time, and it's a way for me to be able to make anywhere from an extra $20 to an extra couple $100 a week, depending on how much time I want to put into it. It's nice to be able to have something that I can start and stop whenever I want, and if I really feel like I need an extra $50 for whatever, I feel like I can make that at any time just by sitting there and waiting for the orders to come in. So that's all I have to say about the reasons why I love Instacart. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and I would love to hear down in the comment section below if you have ever tried any gig economy apps and if you have had any success with them. Last but not least, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you can be alerted every single time I upload a video, whether it's about the finance or fun stuff side of this channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care.